So ultimately, this is due to a complete lack of knowledge of why we're here. Without understanding this point, everything else that the Vedas or the Vedic culture was meant actually to fulfill the ultimate need of the living entity, which is to reestablish his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From that point, can you begin to understand every principle that's given ultimately by Krishna through the scriptures, who is our well-wisher. He speaks these points in the scriptures ultimately to help us, guide us in that way. And from a material perspective, we need to live properly so that we can have proper time and mental stability to practice and understand these finer topics of life. So this marriage, which was done at a young age, was to prevent people from having to waste so much time and energy and misuse their human form of life and trying to think about these things that are not really important to the soul itself, like getting married and living some kind of adjustment in this material world. So at a young age, when the hormones weren't fully developed yet, it was best to get children married early on so that they wouldn't have to grow up and be concerned about these things, like maintaining the bodily demands, such as, you know, how to expand your family or whatever the case may be. So those children who needed to get married, or like all women, for example, were, required to have marriage life. So they were married at a young age, so that the burden wasn't on them, so they wouldn't have to think in an unclear state of mind when the body was developed and have to hunt out for men, like is happening now and due to the Western influence. Women have to look for men, versus they were helped and guided by their parents according to scriptures, so that they can actually focus on the real duty, the real requirement of the soul, which is to develop his relationship with Krishna. Without that understanding, then everything else doesn't make sense. If you think the goal is just to be happy and satisfied, then you'll question every principle in the scripture, because you'll think, well, maybe there's a better way to be happy. But actually, it's ultimately wrong, because Krishna sees even how we can be materially happy if we follow all his injunctions that are given in the scriptures. So thank you very much.